Welcome back to the Tygra Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for March 2nd, 2025. And there is some Transformers news. There's not a ton. We're going to see more when we get to TFCon, but there is some stuff to talk about, to look at. But mostly this week, it's all about Toy Fair 2025. A lot of unexpected new stuff that we are seeing revealed there. Some Robocop, some masks, all kinds of stuff. Tmnt stuff. Now, some of this stuff wasn't really a huge surprise, but to get to actually see it in action or them progressing with it. Back to the Future is a surprise. There's so much to go through. Some of this stuff I'm putting in the intro in case I just forget to get to the slide or don't get to the slide. But Reaction Plus, we're getting 3.75-inch Back to the Future. We're getting these deluxe versions. We're getting the Tygra, and it's very sorely needed for $35 at Target, and then of course everywhere else after Target. Chitara also. And then we've gotten to see the Power Ranger stuff that's coming from good old Playmates, G.I. Joe, and I'm gonna touch on G.I. Joe a little bit, the Cold Slither, all this stuff, but I think I'm gonna do a whole other video about G.I. Joe and then the Motu stuff. There is Motu stuff to look at, but I think I'm gonna do another video Monday that's gonna go more into detail. There is a little bit of stuff with Star Wars. I mean, more than usual, coming up. Starting out with a couple of things, Show Z store, and this is the X-Transpods Paragon. It is shipping now. So if you ordered yours, you're going to be getting your billing requests, payment requests, and all of that. If you're keeping up with this combiner from X-Transpods, then this is definitely a component you're going to need. They've got a sale on the Mastermind Creations R51 Nimbus. This is double dealer. Anyhow, it looks pretty cool. If you're interested, it's on sale from $200 to $180. And remember, if you do order anything from Show Z store, TH in the reviewer code. The other stuff I was going to talk about from Show Z is just in the regular news, and we will refer back to that. Starting out real quick, we want to talk about Fans Hobby MB25A Obsidian Blade. This is the exclusive that's going to be for TFCon Los Angeles 2025. If you're interested in this, then there's going to be, well, you should be able to get it from Chosen Prime's booth. Probably going to be some more for sale at other retailers after that. But it's a nice, interesting looking recolor, and it looks pretty cool. I do think the biggest news this week is the Missing Link RC. Now, there are two different versions. They have just put these very grainy pictures out, not very highly detailed, but more or less still in the realm of teaser image, I would think. But anyhow, these look okay. I prefer the one on the right, but also the one on the left is what the original prototype more or less looked like. Not exactly what we've been seeing from the original prototype, but more or less. And this is going to have enhanced articulation, be better than what the prototype would have been, because it is part of Missing Link. So bear that in mind. This is not exactly like what the original RC would have been. This is going to be more articulated and better at the end of the day. Here's kind of the prototype version of the alt mode, and I do want to say this. I think the alt mode looks good, and I do think that that's kind of in line with all of G1. All of G1, the alt mode was the best part. The bot mode suffered a lot to make a nearly perfect alt mode, and same thing with RC. Even though I wouldn't say this is perfect or nearly perfect, it's still very G1-esque, which is kind of nice in a way. It's got its charm, but if you really want a better RC along those lines, you can get a Masterpiece one or any of the iterations they made in the main line. This is more for the charm, and I am super charmed by it. Here is the G1-esque version of the alt mode, looking pretty good. And let's just be honest. If they made this in the 80s, it would not have sold very well. That's all there is to it. It would not. I wouldn't have bought it. I wouldn't have wanted it. I would have thought it was interesting that it was there, but it's not something like I wouldn't have gotten obsessed over wanting to get one of these like I was about Swoop. And although I'm in the Masterpiece, this is all in the same area, so I'm going to cover it real quick. This is the Leader Grimlock, and I'm guessing this is the Takara version of it, but I can't tell the difference between this one and the US release. But there it is. And then we got the Studio Series 86 Commander, Long Haul, and Hook. And these are official pictures. Like, I think we've seen them before. Don't really want to spend too much more time on this stuff. Okay, this one is Touch Toys Nacrum, and they also call it the Volen Shark, and it looks pretty good overall. I think that they did a good job with this. It's a bit kibbly in a way. It looks like he's kind of wearing a skirt or something along those lines, but it's all this turns into a really nice looking jet, and that jet is super clean. So to see you go from that bot to this jet, not any more real angles of it, but I thought this was some pretty good photography and pretty good pictures of what seems to be a very high-end result. We've got some in-hand pictures of Robot Toys RTD01 Lord Ventagon. And the thing about this one is that it is more or less the original Beast Wars, not like it's Transmetal or anything like Transart's doing, but it's not small in Legends. This is a masterpiece one. As you can see, it's in hand. You can see it compared to the hand, and this is correctly scaled for a masterpiece. Well, you can argue that Legends is correctly scaled for masterpiece, but we're not going to really get into that. We don't have time for that right now, but here is the alt mode. I think the alt mode looks pretty spot on, and picking up where Takara left off, or chooses not to go any more or play in the sandbox after Rat Trap. I think Rat Trap is either going to be the end or a serious slowdown in the Beast Wars for Takara. Glad we have Robot Toys stepping up from Legends to Masterpiece, and I think they're still continuing their Legends offerings also. And here's a picture of it next to the Megatron, so it looks pretty good overall. And yeah, nice looking photography, nice looking figures, nice looking pictures, and it'll be a nice addition to your collection. I do look forward to getting one of these. And yes, I do have mine pre-ordered at Shozi Store. You can still pre-order it there right now, $1 down, TH in the viewer code. All right, getting into Legends, or sort of sub-Legends, this is the Galaxy Roller. And Galaxy Toys is making a roller, and they're making a... I forgot what they called it. It's the trailer drone and a Jazz. And people do say this is slightly smaller than Legends. I would like to see it next to like a Magic Square, New Age, or something like that. Kind of feel like the Jazz is scaled correctly for Legends, and the roller is also scaled correctly for Legends. I feel like it's all scaled correctly. Till I actually see it, I don't know. But I think they look good. They look very promising overall. And yeah, pretty decent look overall. Let's see what the alt mode looks like for the roller. And there it is. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. It'll be fun to add this to the Legends collection. Getting into Hasbro news. There is some Hasbro news. So this is 2025 Wave 1 Deluxe Studio Series from his Brawlers. Took this picture and he's got them in hand, I guess. And so that's what we're going to be getting. What to expect from the packaging, how it's going to look, and all of that good stuff. But definitely want to build that Devastator. Looks like it would be some fun there. Then here's the sides of the packaging. So they're kind of carrying over some of the stuff that they did sort of from the Star Wars, where you get like a mural in a way. This isn't exactly a lineup mural. It's just the character, like a strip of the character. But there's the packaging. And then there's Dramatic Capture Series coming soon with Jazz. So we just saw Jazz. Then we're going to get Jazz again in Dramatic Capture Series. The Bumblebee that's shelf forming right now. And another Wheeljack, which they've put out twice. And then they put it out again in a 5-pack. Now in a 3-pack. Not exactly sure what they're thinking. I guess they're just hitting reprint and make money. Speaking of reprint and make money, here's Prowl and Trailbreaker getting a reissue from the Earthrise line. I will say this. I did get whatever the 5-pack was called, and I do still think this is the better version of Trailbreaker out of all of them. It's the better Trailbreaker, and it looks better. I like the colors of this better, but I would have liked a darker window. That would have made it better for me. And then the Prowl, it's still the best Prowl that they've made until they make another mold, and it beats the Siege, in my opinion, and it's the best. So putting it back out, I guess it makes some sense. I think it was in a 2-pack, an Amazon 2-pack last time, if I'm not mistaken. But anyhow, there it is. This is up for pre-order at BBTS if you're into it, and I actually don't think they'll sell out very fast. And we've unlocked, well, I haven't, but the HasLab Lyle Kaiser Death Cobra has been unlocked because they cracked 13,000, and they need 16,000 to unlock the electromagnetic nunchaku, and then 18,000 to unlock the display bases. So that's where it is. If you're in on this, and hey, if you're in on this, enjoy it, have fun with it. I'm not. We got in-hand pictures of Trypticon, the reissue version, which I'm on the fence on getting because I already have the first one. But I think this one looks dramatically better. Here's the alt mode. I do think all around, I like the colors of it better. Yes, the first one was Toon. I am a Toon guy, but for whatever reason, with this character, these colors really contrast and pop really well. So, anyhow, this is in-hand pictures of the Titans Age of the Primes Generation Select Titan Class Trypticon. Here goes some Blokees at the Toy Fair, and there's going to be some more stuff I talk about later, but it's not Transformers, so I've left that in another segment. But these still kind of have a little bit of the super deformed kind of look to them, but as you can see, a lot of the stuff that they're making is going to be a lot more along the lines of mature looking overall. I mean, still a little bit on the toyetic side of things. Not quite as super deformed as the other ones, or what they've been doing in the past, which I kind of like that direction that they're going with them. And then here's a full shot of another case. I think we saw a close-up of one of these. But yeah, so what's going on with Blokees? Seems pretty popular. People seem to love them. I don't have one, but I've handled a few from people that I know that have them, and they love them. They're all in. Alright, don't have too much time to talk about this. This Transformers Cyber World toy line. This is actually made for kids. It's a good thing that they make stuff for kids. This is, I believe this to be the Scorponok playset. Large scale toy, doubles as a playset with battle stations, a chest cockpit, and a cyber bike for $60. Then we have a Grimlock that is called a Chomp and Battle. It is 9-inch Grimlock that has a 4-step transformation. It can be used as a mech suit. $30. There he is with his 4-step transformation to get into a Grimlock and all that good stuff. And then this is Optimus Prime riding inside of him as a mech suit. Hey, don't we see a mech suit coming up in G.I. Joe, Classified, then Bumblebee and a few other things? I'm really not going to get into the rest of all this stuff, but I don't have time. There's supposed to be a Walmart CollectorCon March 13th through the 14th, so that's roughly 2 weeks from now. And the thing about this is that there's probably going to be an exclusive that you're not going to be able to order, or you're going to order it and they're going to cancel it. So what a waste of time, in my opinion. The last exclusive of theirs that I ordered was some sort of G.I. Joe Classified thing. It was a Shockwave and a bike or something, and they canceled it. So I don't have it. I actually just don't care. Save me some money. Save me $45. That's great. TFCon March 7th through the 9th, 2025, and the thing about this is not so much that the voice actor of RC in Transformers Primes would be there, all that, but this is where I think we're going to see a lot of reveals that have been held back by X-Transbots, MMC, and the likes of the rest of them holding back on stuff. We're going to see a few new reveals. Don't get excited about 20 things. I think maybe 6 new things come out of this TFCon, and hopefully there's 6 good, impactful releases and reveals. Alright, I'm going to cover this Motu stuff really fast because I'm going to put another video out on Monday more detailed into Motu and G.I. Joe. I just can't. I don't have the time to go too much detail into this. But there's a lot of new stuff that's coming out, a lot of new figures. These are some of the Origins figures that are coming out. They look pretty good overall, and it is nice that they are continuing this. I do like the cartoon stuff more than the original Origins, but I want to finish what I started with the original Origins. Here is some Masterverse stuff, or is this even Masterverse? No, this is the Thundercats. Thundercats picture, and it looks good. Look at the colors and all that kind of stuff. That is really nice looking. Not sure how deep I'm going to go into this, but I am going to dip my toe. It's going to be hard to see these on the shelf and not buy them, be part of it. For whatever reason, they're making retro, super retro versions of He-Man and Skeletor regressing backwards. So I don't have all the details on this. I don't know if they're going to go back to the band in it, which I think would be a terrible idea, or if they're just making it to where the elbows and knees don't move just for fun. Not exactly sure why they would need to go this route. Origins is awesome the way it is. I like Origins because Origins enhanced articulation and all that great stuff. Here we go with Snake Men and fun stuff going on right there. But I'm going to have to go more deep into this, so let's look at one more thing that they bring us after all this. So we are going to be getting the Horde Fright Zone. And now I have the vintage one of these. And I've got the little hand puppet. I had to pony up the money to get a hand puppet. It's got a little tear, but it's decent. But instead of a hand puppet, you're going to be getting an articulated figure with it. And there's just a lot more that they're putting into this than what we got back in the day, which was like 3 panels that plug together. There's so much more that's going to go into this. I think it's going to be $80. I think it's going to be, they're going to put into it what they put into Castle Grayskull, what they put into the Snake Mountain, and all those kinds of things. Plus, Snake Mountain was one they didn't make a whole lot of. They did an extra run of Castle Grayskull because it sold out and went up in ridiculously expensive on the secondary market. But then once they did a second run, it lost all steam and everyone had to clearance it out. So they're not going to do that again with this, and I think they'll maintain the $80 price point. For $80 is what I think it's going to be. All right, for G.I. Joe Classified, they are making an SECC exclusive Cold Slither, which is pretty much using figures they've already made but then just getting redecoed into their uniforms or costumes for the band, and you're also getting the band equipment with the guitars, the piano thing, and then, of course, the drums, which is an interesting idea. It's cool that they're doing it, and that's great. Here's the box that it's going to be delivered in, I believe, and they're kind of teasing it at Toy Fair. So there's a lot of stuff at Toy Fair going on right now, and with that, we're kind of starting to slide into that stuff. Super 7 is making their Reaction Plus with a Cold Slither Zartan. I'm kind of hoping they'll do all of them eventually and get the whole band in this scale. I would prefer to have got the whole band in this scale, but here's the weird part. If they do all of them, you're going to be spending $20 a figure, spending $100 on 4 of these figures. You'll be almost spending what they're going to ask. I think the classified Cold Slither band is going to be about $150, and so you're spending $100 just to get these 4. That would be interesting to see what they do, though. But as of now, they only showed off Zartan, none of the other band members. I'm pretty sure this slide's going to show up again, but let's just cover it now. This is the next wave of the Reaction Plus. We already looked at Zartan, but we're going to be getting a Snake Eyes from the cartoon. So all of you that were like, oh, we need a cartoon Snake Eyes, well, you are going to get a cartoon Snake Eyes. It looks a lot like the version 2. Looks pretty good. I didn't get a whole lot more detail than what we're looking at right now. We get a Cobra Commander in his Arctic coat, kind of from the movie, the 87 movie. And then we get a very cartoon-esque Wild Bill, and it looks good. They've done a good job with all of these. They look good. I'm in on all of them. G.I. Joe Classified Highlight Reel. Again, I'm going to try to make a video tomorrow doing a lot more detail, but this is the next retro wave where we get Flint, CoverGirl, and the Viper, Televiper. So, looks pretty good overall, and I like these designs more than the first releases, I'm not going to lie. Then we get into the snake armor, the mech suit, and as there was a lot of controversy and discussion about this, that there's no way a figure's going to fit in there. This is how massively big this thing is. It is massive, which they might carry a massive price point, and it's that big they sit down in it. Impressive. They kind of kept this a little secret when they announced it back in the day. Just look how massive it is. This is way bigger than any comparison from a vintage to modern that we've seen so far. So this is much bigger, much more armored. And we do get the claw here with the pilot, which this looks fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the vintage claw, and this upgrade is very nice, and I like a lot about it. It looks to be way better. Like, so much more they added to it. The extra landing gear that's added into it. It's really funny, too, because when they make a lot of these things in the modern, like, they made one of these gliders back in the day. But I think it was like 08 or something like that. 2010, 2012. But that thing was just a one chunk of plastic, and it was like a regression. This is going so much further advanced. But anyway, we'll talk more about it in the future. The other highlight on this highlight reel before we get into everything else is Crystal Ball, and I think he looks fantastic. I think they've done a seriously good job with this character. Now, this is one of those characters that in the original vintage line absolutely sucked. The only cool thing about him was his kind of hologram thing that he had, and on his shield, I think they call it lenticular on his shield. But with this, this is so much better. This is a figure that needs some sort of modernization and improvement. If you made it exactly like the vintage one, that kind of sucked, then you'd just be making a sucky 6-inch figure, right? So this is a good one, and they did great with this figure. All right, so getting into Mask, probably the most interest at the entire toy show is Loyal Subject, and they're bringing back Mask Wave 1 here. What we know about this, so starting with Condor, it's $30 up to 50 for the Thunderhawk, 75 for Switchblade, and 100 for Rhino. Odd lot pricing, of course. Rhino $99.99 is what we're hearing on the streets here. And with that, they're not going to have Vac Metal Chrome, and they are going to be available for pre-order July 1st at BBTS. And the figures are updated with a little bit more articulation in the shoulders and much better paint apps. But if you want to see all my thoughts and everything I kind of know about it, check my video out I put out yesterday. And I'm so excited I went and cleared some space. I'm trying to work things around to where am I going to put all this. I don't like just buying stuff and going, I'm just going to buy it, throw it in a box or something. I'm going to put it somewhere. So I'm working space out to display it all. All right, there is a lot to look at, and some stuff's new, some stuff's old. I'm going to try to skip over stuff we've already seen before. This is Hiya Toys, a lot of stuff that got some dragons and some Star Trek and stuff. We're going to take closer looks. I like seeing the overview and then digging in. I can't say that I get that with everything that we look at today, but here is some Star Trek stuff. There's some Walking Dead up there, and Robocop looking pretty good. This Robocop, I have no idea how good it's going to be. Is it going to be better than the Neca one? I don't know. I'm not really sure I want 3 different Robocops from 3 different companies in the same scale. I do believe this to be 1/12 scale, 6-inch, and I don't know the price, but I would probably pick one up just to decide which one I like the most. And then over here, this is Rocky and Apollo Creed. They look fantastic, and again, I believe them to be 1/12 scale. Just the sculpt is perfect, and the fact that I really don't have any Rocky stuff. I've got one that I don't even know the name of the company that made it for a vintage one with the really baggy shorts. But aside from that, I mean, I might be in on these if the price is right. But they look really good. I mean, just top notch. Top notch. I think that's the highlights from Hiya Toys. Looking at highlights from the cell, we've already seen the biker mice, but these are the bikes that I have them in my pile of loot, and I'm probably going to ship that earlier than I usually do. I usually wait till it makes me, but there's some stuff I'm excited about that I want to get, and I just don't want to wait as long for it, so I'll spend the extra $4. This, I think they've done a phenomenal job with all these, from Fred to Dr. Carbuncle to all these good ones here. You know, Grease Pit, you've got the Limburger, Charlie, Carbine. The Charlie figure they made was in a red shirt, but I think in the show she did always wear this color of clothes. But really looking forward to this. And again, I'm making space to display this stuff. It's not just buy it and not know what to do with it. I'm planning ahead. It's probably going to be 6 months till I get my hands on them anyway. RoboForce, I don't collect these. I was tempted. I do believe that the Walmart exclusive one they made is clearancing out at Walmart, so if you catch it, you might get a good price on one. But I haven't started on this line yet, and I don't know if I'm going to dip into it. I do appreciate that they're doing it, and I think they've done a pretty good job retaining the suction cups in that. Here we go with a few more things like the Mumesa figures, which I saw some vintage ones in hand at a toy shop just recently. Thought they were pretty interesting looking. Not sure if I'm going to be in on them, but these do look so much better than the vintage ones, as they should, as pretty much everything in the modern should look better. Nacelle's also doing their own Star Trek stuff here, and that looks pretty good overall. Here we go with the newer figures. These are the newer RoboForce figures, which I actually think these are cooler looking. I do have like a bag of 7 or 8 vintage ones, a couple of the accessories, but it's like I haven't delved into that line yet, so my knowledge base on RoboForce is very small. It's very little, very limited. I know they have a suction cup, and so there it is. This is the Expanse. Now this is where you get a true collector, like Volkwise is a true collector, and Brian's been working really hard on all of this to bring to life the Expanse. I just don't know there's that big of a market for it. You know, it's one of those things. He wants it to happen, but is there a market for it? I'm sure there is, but I'm not, how big is it? And then we get into Neca. All right, so here we are. It's a highlight reel of Neca. This is some Toony DC figures that Neca's making. Okay, they want their hands in everything. They're making Sesame Street. So they're making Sesame Street. Blokees is making Sesame Street. Super 7's making Reactions Sesame Street. But they're making two different scales. Like, more or less, the smaller ones are the ones that are not really posable. And then they're making sort of an Ultimates, I guess. Are they Ultimate kind of style? I am super tempted, though, to get me a count. I want to get a count. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, just one. You just need to buy me. Just the one. Don't buy 4. This is Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. And another franchise I'm not really so into. But again, I appreciate it. I know it has a cult following. I know people that really love this stuff. And with that, I can appreciate the fact that they're making it. And this looks exactly like the show. Again, Neca is really good at nailing the sculpt. So is Super 7. But, you know, I think Neca's better for real actual people. And I think that Super 7's better for, like, the cartoon stuff. And here we go with a Pee Wee Herman. Now, I think it's been a year since they've shown this. And I don't think it's gone anywhere. I don't think it's up for pre-order anywhere yet. Maybe it is. I haven't noticed. But I will be getting a Pee Wee Herman just for fun. You know, you got to. Paul Rubens. R.I.P. And then here's some other stuff. Some other Terrors kind of stuff that they got going on. Again, I'm not into the horror all that much. I have a few figures. But another one, I would get Dracula. I would get the Count. I would get good old Dracula if I was to get one. And there he is. I probably will have to pick that up. If I come across it in the wild, I'm definitely picking him up. It's not one of the things I'm going to go out of my way to get. I like the casket too. Not exactly sure how expensive it would be to get the casket there. Here is a really crazy clown stuff. My wife doesn't like clowns, so I don't know. I don't collect the clown stuff, but it's still fun to see. We got Santa clowns, I guess, going on right here. I'm sure there's a lot more to this lore than I know, but there it is. Horror stuff. Chucky, I know about the Chucky. Chucky. Fun little guy. I mean, it's a toy I wouldn't want, you know. It's like wouldn't want to buy a toy, come to life, try to kill me. That wouldn't be any fun. But here we go with Evil Dead and more things that they have going on. My brother's big into Evil Dead, and so I actually gave him like an 18-inch figure of that dude. Then we've got more stuff here. It looks like we got, is that E.T. figure over there? What is that? I'm not exactly sure what's over there on the left, the Kessler, but Saw stuff. I mean, I'm familiar with the Saw movies, so truly understand all of this. Now we're getting into some Beetlejuice, and I have to admit that the stuff they're putting out right here it's from scenes in the Beetlejuice movie, and we just recently watched the Beetlejuice movie before my family went to go see the Beetlejuice 2 and all of that, but it's fun to see this come to life. They've done so much. That is impressive. And there's a close-up on Here Lies Beetlejuice. Don't say his name 3 times or you'll get him to pop out and be crazy with you. There he is. Now, love this scene here. And again, I don't know the price on all these. Really cool stuff they're making. And there's a close-up of him. He's saying something like, they're not your friend, they're not your bud, they don't care about you. And then we get into Playmates. All right, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they are showcasing, this is the actual retro lair, the sewer lair, and they said that they made it pretty much size-wise, everything pretty much exactly the same as vintage. Now, I can't believe they made it exactly the same, but they made it sound like they just cast all the parts directly from a vintage one. And that's how they did it. They tooled it directly from a vintage. which seems to me to be a little bit shady to do that. But why not reinvent it just a little bit, make it a little bit different, make it special to have the vintage one? So will the vintage ones just completely lose their value? I mean, I paid $200 for mine because I had to buy several lots to complete it, and you know, getting rid of my parts probably be hard to do. But the thing I want about this is the box. And I'm not into all the turtle stuff, but my favorite things like this, the Technodrome, I want the box. This is another one of the things I really want the box, and I have a complete one that cost me like $200 to piece together. And you know, to get one in the box for $50 or whatever they're going to charge is going to be amazing. I don't know what they're going to charge yet, but again, they said it's tooled exactly like the original, and I have to say that my windshields and stuff isn't this clear, so this is impressive that they're going to do it. I only wish I would have known. I would have just waited and bought theirs if they would have done this or announced this 2 years ago or something. But you know, it is what it is. Now, when it gets to the cruiser here, the foot cruiser, they don't have one made yet. It's like a future plan. They just have a vintage one showed off here, but they're going to tool it off of this to make a modern iteration, but it's going to be exactly the same, which in a way it's a little lazy, but it is what it is. It's what they're going to do. Will the vintage ones retain any value whatsoever? Does it matter? It matters to me because I've already spent the money on it. It wouldn't matter to me if I hadn't already spent too much on buying a vintage one and I'm already turtled out, but I do want the box. That's true. It's a mixed bag of excitement and disappointment at the same time with that. Now, this is Super 7's booth, and they do a lot of these reaction music stars and that kind of stuff. So they're kind of showing all this off. Some rappers going right here, Biggies and KRS-One. I don't know who all they are, by the way, but there's Ultra 85 also in the mix. Old Dirty Buffalo. Iron Man. A lot of stuff here. Great stuff if you're into it. I'm not buying any of these. Spinal Tap. I'm not getting any of these for any of the rock stars or rappers or any of that kind of stuff. It just doesn't really appeal to me. I don't really want an action figure form of a singer. I'd rather just listen to the music and call it a day. But some people do want that. Looking at the top there, we do see a Silverhawks Quicksilver up top. They're just kind of showing a little bit of everything. They do have the Gremlins. I think I have pictures of that down the road. So more stuff. What this proves is they're doubling down on lower price point items, and they're not putting as much investment into the higher end items. That's just what it shows. This is Gremlin, $20. It looks good, 5 POA. If they do them all like this, I mean, when they started, I think that it was pretty. Oh, NECA did them already. NECA did them for like 25, then 35, but. Yeah, if you want to get them in the Ultimates. Now, these are tiny. These are tiny little 3.75 inch scale, so they're even smaller than 3.75 inch. There's Gizmo. He's not very happy. He's not having a good day. I bet there's 8 different versions of Gizmo they make. All right, so this is something that, like I just said, they're doubling down on a lower price point. And with that, you're getting Tygra and Chitara. Now, I do want to say with Tygra, sorely needed. I'm going to happily buy another one, and I'm excited for it. I've been saying this since we first heard of Deluxe. Tygra. We need Tygra. And I listed a couple other ones, but Tygra was at the top of mind. Then you look at Chitara, and I'm like, but Chitara's right now at Walmart for $29.99. Cheaper than the $35 price point to get the Ultimates. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand that. I don't need another Chitara. Will I pick her up again? Maybe. But I don't know why I would. I just don't get it. I like the toy version. Probably won't pick her up again. Probably will. Probably won't. We got Sesame Street. Like I said, they're making Sesame Street along with 2 other companies making it. And there is their Sesame Street stuff. I'm not in on the reaction Sesame Street stuff, but I might get some stuff down the road. There is more of their Sesame Street stuff right here in a blind box, Wave 3 for 15 instead of 20. You get a steal of a deal for 15. Not really a steal of a deal. This is Czarface, whatever. I don't know what this is, but it looks interesting, and it's in blind box stuff. Then we got Trick or Treat Studios. Okay, so that's it for Super 7. I guess we're on to the Trick or Treat Studio now, and this is I don't even know what this is. I got the picture. I should have tagged what it is. There is some more horror stuff that they're making with the Trick or Treat studio in their booth, and a nice big shot. I like a shot like this so you can see everything that's going on in there. And Halloween, scary stuff. I wanted to include this picture because this is kind of a role play sword, and it looks great. I know it's expensive. I think it's like $200, but it looks good. I would have liked it silver instead of the gray, but then again, it sort of matches the old toy one that we had back when we were kids. I had one. I sold mine off because I didn't think I was going to collect Thundercats, and I started collecting Thundercats right after that. Really weird. Do a lot of dumb stuff. Now, they're making, Trick or Treat Studios is also making a Robocop. Now, I do believe this one to be a 1/12 scale, because if you look at the bottom, those look like 3.75-inch figures at the bottom. Then you look up to the Robocop, it looks like 6-inch scale. So that's kind of where I'm at. There's zero information, by the way. Zero information. You're just getting to look at these pictures and going, okay, this extrapolate what you can from looking at these pictures, and it looks like a pretty good Robocop. Okay, let's look up closer at Robocop. There he is. I don't think his hip opens, which... is it good for a hip to open? Is it bad for it to open? Neca's is extremely problematic. Even with the new ones, I was like, oh, look how good it works. But after I did it 3 or 4 times, it stopped working well. And it started being a hassle on a brand new one. So, but when I reviewed it, it was fine. But then a couple weeks later, after I was trying to do different displays, it was an issue. So I don't know. Here are some skeletons. I do like that you have the decaying skin and stuff that's still present on skeletons. Whenever you see a skeleton warrior kind of a deal, you see just the skeleton and that's it. I never see them with decayed matter still attached to the ribs. That's interesting. Looks like part of the intestines are still there. Really interesting. Yeah, if you're doing horror, I guess you need to do it right? Day of the Dead, all that stuff. I watched that movie, but I don't remember really what it's about. All right, now we're going to get into... Now, this is also Playmates, but it's a different brand, so I guess that's why it's a different segment of this. But we get to see... This is going to be sort of the modern take on the Power Rangers from Playmates, and they look pretty decent. I can't tell if they're any better or worse than Lightning Collection. I only have, I think, 1, maybe 2 Lightning Collection figures opened up. And aside from that, I've got Super 7 Ultimates because they're the best. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to beat Super 7 Ultimates except for the $100 ones that they made. I think Bandai made one or something. Those might be better, but here is a retro. So they're doing a retro line, reignition line, and then they're doing a more modern take line. And people are kind of like disappointed in the retro. I feel like it looks exactly like what they did with Hasbro. I mean, maybe a little bit different. I don't think they look bad as a retro line. So it's like, what do you want? Do you want retro, or do you want the modern take, or do you just want the best for reasonable price? Go with Super 7 like I did. I mean, it is what it is. Will I pick these up for cheap? Maybe. I don't know. I picked up all of the Lightning Collection for like $8 to $10 a piece. So there's that. Oh, Ma, do I have to talk about Star Wars? I guess I have to talk about Star Wars. Okay, in a Vintage Collection reveals from the fan stream, there's Vintage Collection Moma, Naden, or Hammerhead. Then they have Ponda Baba, and then they have the Imperial Armored Commando, and then a Land Speeder retooled. Now, I gotta say this, that the Land Speeder seems like the easiest vintage one to get, but in the Vintage Collection one, it was an exclusive at Target. I only saw 2 ever in person. I bought one of them, and then the other one I was like, they were on sale too. They were like $20 each, and that and the TIE Fighter. And so I got one of each, and I was happy and went about my business. And then it's like they disappeared off the face of the earth, and they're $100 items. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. I'm glad I got mine when I did. But now they're putting one out industry tools. So still, the Target one is going to be different than this, but I think it looks good. But it feels like there's little to no investment in Star Wars at all from Hasbro. All right, so we got Black Series Count Dooku in retro style packaging, and I think the figure's good. I think it's a good way to put the figure back out again. I'm actually okay with it. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's the right way to go. Also, they're doing a Mandalorian version of Moff Gideon, which I will say is... I love the character. I think they did a good job with the character. The actor did a great job portraying it as a... It's a wonderful character. I can't say that about very many of the Disney characters, but I really liked him overall. Better Call Saul, right? And then Imperial Praetorian Guard is another one that they showed off, which I feel like I've got, but I don't know. I haven't really kept up with what I do and don't have in Black Series anymore. So it's kind of one of those things. Far from a completist I am. Far from complete my collection is. Andor, Cassian, Andor. And so this is going to be from the Series 2. Season 2, I believe. It's the test pilot costume that he is wearing. And then we're getting yet another Krennic. I'm just glad I got my Krennic when they were $7. So, I was like, I got a Krennic. So you get a $7 Krennic, you'll never look back and think you need to do another one. I guess they make more retro figures, so I'm going to show some Kit Fisto getting put back out as a retro figure. Again, I'm not upset about that. I'm not mad about that. But the retro figure I'm going to probably have to go after is R2-D2. So I got the standard one, and I've got the Return of the Jedi carded one. But yeah, R2-D2 is my favorite out of all these. Definitely a winner. So out of the whole fan stream, the only thing I need is an 8th R2-D2. I knew I would do it. I knew I would forget to talk about something. And we have the reaction plus they're doing Universal Monsters. And it's amazing. These look great. I was actually considering buying the Remco ones for hundreds of dollars. And I was like, but I just don't want to spend that kind of money. So $20 instead of $80 each for vintage ones that are 5 POA is a win. I think I'm going to go that route. Just completely skip the Remco ones I was talking about on Wednesday and just go this route. This makes so much more sense to me. And then, of course, there is the good old Back to the Future. I know they're doing 2 Martys and a Doc, and these 3 are the first ones. But they're G.I. Joe scale. O-rings. Awesome. I am in on all of this. 100%. 200%, maybe. Gotta open one up, but anyway. Let me know what you guys think about this weekly news interview. What else is going on out there that maybe you can help me out with some stuff I've missed? Because I'm going to talk about more tomorrow. How do you hang around?